Right now in Manhattan, 88 degrees, mostly sunny skies, wind out of the southeast at around 7 miles an hour. That heat index up at 96, thanks in part to 61% humidity. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 68. Then tomorrow, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon with the high near 89. That'll continue into Tuesday night with an overnight low of 68. Then on Wednesday, there are 20% chance of showers, a high near 87, and mostly sunny after the showers clear out at around 1 in the afternoon. We got the game up next here on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Well, after 217 days, a lot of sleep, a lot of other sporting events, it's finally time. It's game week. College football week 0. We are so back. Week 0 is this Saturday. I am very excited for it, even if there aren't a ton of really fun games to watch. Because let's be honest, it's not the most awe-inspiring slate in the world. And I blacked out after the K-State, Iowa State game last year, so I don't know what the heck happened after about 2 o'clock Central Time. But I am looking forward to sitting in the comfort of my own home, watching Bill Belichick probably fail massively on national television again against TCU, and then watching whatever games that the college football powers that be have in store for us on Saturday. We're back, Tim.
We're back. It's exciting. Look, and I agree. It's not there have been better week 0s in the past, for sure. But at this point, you try to fill the hole with various things through the offseason, and then even NFL preseason, it just doesn't hit the same.
No.
But 11 o'clock Central, North Carolina, TCU, and Dublin. As long as you forget what happened last year in Dublin, it's going to be nice. I'm excited. I'm excited. It at least starts off with one that has a little bit of fun to it.
And there are some other interesting games, at least a little bit, that you can maybe convince yourself, hype yourself up a little bit. Like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to watch this one. We'll get into that here to start the show. Later on, Tim, actually you today and the rest of K-State media had the chance to talk to K-State women's basketball head coach Jeff Mittie, as it was kind of the ending of the roster finalization is basically what today symbolized. They're not necessarily, if something falls into their lap, they're not going to turn that down, but that's what we'll talk about is the getting of the last 2 international players is the main topic of conversation today, so we'll hear from you on that, and we'll hear from Coach Mittie himself. We got a couple of Kansas City topics for today. Don't let the Royals fool you again. They've won 8 in a row. It's amazing. I'm having fun, but don't get the hopes up. Don't get the hopes up for this season or for next year either, probably, unfortunately.
It's real tough.
And then the other Kansas City topic, the Chiefs, you mentioned preseason football. There's a K-State headline because Felix Anudike-Uzomah, albeit in a preseason game that we know does not matter, had one of his best games, if not the best game that he's had as a pro, and why it is a extremely good sign for a Chiefs defensive end room that is not the deepest at the moment. And then, of course, 20 questions and 20 shows continues with day 16, I believe. What's your K-State football hot take for 2026? We might also dip our toes into the water of the Big 12 as a whole. I've got a couple of K-State hot takes loaded up, some that I really believe in, some that I could see, some that probably aren't going to happen, but they sound fun, at least in my head, and then a couple of Big 12 takes as well. If you haven't been able to decipher it, Mitch is again gone. This should be the last day in a minute, knock on wood, and then it's downhill from here, uphill from here, because a lot is going to be happening here in the next, basically 7 months. You go until March is when it'll start to calm down a little bit, but hopefully it'll be busy in March too with a couple of basketball programs as well. It's going to be busy regardless, but hopefully it's busy with K-State related news in March. I'm Cole Vetchendorf, across the glass, Tim Everson, and to my right in studio, welcome back, Gavin Hyatt.
It's a pleasure to be back. I'm glad to be back. It was a good summer for me back home, but back at the station and couldn't be happier.
We're easing Gavin back into things. I'll be on board for hour 1, and then he'll be taking the reins for hour 2, knocking some of the rust off and getting us down the home stretch. No Royals today. They did sweep the Tigers and the Athletics. They've won 8 in a row, as we mentioned. So dare I say that the boys are playing a bit of baseball right now. They are off today. They're heading abroad tomorrow to face the Toronto Blue Jays. That'll be first pitch at 6:07, both Tuesday, Wednesday, and on Thursday. So we will have hour-and-a-half editions of the game for those 3 days, and then it'll be a full 2-hour show on Friday. On Friday, Chiefs' final preseason game against the Seahawks. Pregame at 6. That'll be on the air at 7. And a reminder that the game is brought to you by our friends at Bottle Cap Sports Bar. Feel free to call or text the program at 785-537-1350. Please give us your K-State football hot takes for 2026 so we can read some of those over the air. We would love to hear from you, and we can get some of those read. But first, where we need to start, Tim, as we mentioned, top of the show, college football is back. It's been 217 days. It'll officially be 222. If you want to throw FCS in there, only 220, which includes Nichols, K-State's Week 1 opponent. They are actually playing on Thursday against Mississippi Valley State, who K-State men's basketball has become very familiar with over the past couple of seasons. So technically football begins on Thursday, but it really officially begins on Saturday. We mentioned the big one. It's the Aer Lingus Classic. It's the game that has started college football season. I don't remember exactly how far back it goes, but it's been quite a while at this point. Like 10 years might be what it's getting close to. Do you have a ballpark of it?
It's something like that. I can look it up real quick.
I think there are certainly some headlines and some storylines to watch with this one, namely for TCU. They didn't have a lot of turnover from last year to this year. Now, obviously, you had turnover at your most important spot. That's with Josh Hoover at the quarterback position going to Indiana, trying to replicate what Fernando Mendoza did with the Hoosiers last season. But other than that, they had just 12 players lost to the portal overall. That was the second least in the Big 12. Only BYU had fewer with 9. They also just gained 12 players in the portal. So they were a net 0 in the portal in terms of total numbers. The most notable exit, mentioned Josh Hoover. The most notable entry is Jaden Craig, the Harvard quarterback. Mm-hmm. It's going to be extremely interesting, I think, just to see what Craig looks like in the TCU offense. You got to think that Coach Dykes is going to have them ready to go, and you're not exactly afraid of the North Carolina defense. I mean, you saw what TCU did to them last year. It was not pretty for North Carolina. I think for UNC, does Bill Belichick know how to coach in the NCAA? 4 wins last year that came against Charlotte, Richmond, Syracuse, and Stanford. So not exactly the top dogs in the ACC or in the non-conference. Basically, can Coach Belichick create anything in the headlines other than Jordan Hudson and running the Tar Heel program straight into the ground? I think it's going to be a fun one and an entertaining one at the very least. You're going to see, Grouchy Bill potentially reigning in Ireland. That's what I'm imagining, with the hoodie on, trying to slow down the TCU offense. I'll be tuned in, even though I'm not going to care a ton about the result of the game. Again, it just means that college football is back.
No, absolutely, and it's a fun one. 2 power teams playing each other. I would not be surprised if it's a bit of a stomping by the folks in TCU. I think that the general vibe in college football when it comes to Bill Belichick and his staff is negative to bad, and would love nothing more than to really embarrass them again on a national stage. So excited for that one. A sneaky one in the next time slot. NC State and Virginia.
That's where I was going to go next.
Conference game.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
And it's one that's interesting because for Virginia, it's like was last year a fluke? Can they replicate that success that they had? I mean, playing for and probably should have won an ACC championship. They were solid last year. Now, the biggest thing is their defense going to be very green. They lost, I believe it was 6 of their starters are gone. They only returned 5 total players from that defensive side. They lose their quarterback to being old. He was 25 years old. Chandler Morris would have been 26 this year. So he's gone. But they have Bo Pribula running the offense, who has seen his fair share of college football at this point. I think they're going to be solid. It's just a matter of how solid are they going to be. And then for NC State, it's trying to get back to the program that they were for kind of the entirety of the 2010s. Like, they were really solid putting together, 8, 9, 10-win seasons. They even had one as recently as 2023. But each of the last 2 years have been a little bit more on the middling side, where it's, they're going to beat the bad teams in the ACC. They're going to lose to the good ones. That's a really intriguing one to start it off for the ACC.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Dave Doran is kind of in a weird spot right now. I think that he, that steadiness that they had for so long, even when K-State played them down in Phoenix, or down at the Pop-Tarts Bowl, rather, they were steadily like a 9-win-a-season machine. That's kind of slowed down a little bit. There's questions on, has Dave Doran adjusted to the new things about college football correctly? I don't know. It'll be a fun watch for sure. I have a feeling Virginia is legit. I think that they kind of found something last year and are going to be able to carry that over. But I'm excited to see what happens.
And the great thing for that game is it's probably not one that you would have circled on your calendar if it was in the middle of October.
No.
But when it's a standalone game, basically, it's like, sign me up. I'll watch NC State and Virginia battle it out. Let me see what they got cooking over in those two programs. That's a fun one. That's at 2:30 in the afternoon. A couple more to go over really quickly. This one is interesting maybe to only me because I had like a decade and a half long Hawaii dynasty in college football 2014 with my good friend. Hawaii at Stanford at 6. That is at Stanford again. Hawaii got the win. They played in week 0 last year as well. Hawaii won that one at home 23-20. Hawaii was actually decent last year. They had 9 wins. Now granted, don't look at their schedule because it wasn't the most impressive 9 wins you've ever seen. Especially, it's the Mountain West. You're not expecting a bunch of powerhouses in the Mountain West.
Right.
But Stanford was pretty terrible, and that's kind of been the case, it feels like, since Christian McCaffrey graduated. Now, that's not exactly the case. They had a couple of good seasons after he left the program, but after 2018, the most wins that Stanford has had in a year. Now, part of this includes 2020 when they were 4-2 in the COVID-shortened season. Most wins they've had in a year is 4. They've been really, really bad. They're now on their 4th head coach in the last 5 years. It's just a revolving door right now in that program, trying to find their way. I know Andrew Luck was trying to bring some semblance of stability in that GM role for them, but so far it hasn't been able to happen. So basically it's like, all right, can Stanford try to find some sort of success and turn the page and show that they are at least trending upwards, because you still don't feel at all. They're not competing in the ACC in the slightest, but maybe they can be at least, one of in the middle of the pack instead of being pretty firmly in the bottom.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, they've kind of just been forgotten about.
Yeah.
They've just been left in the trash bin of college football history. Even their fellow, California school that was left behind from the Big Ten breakoff, Cal has had something. They have JKS at quarterback. There's things to be excited about. Mm-hmm. They have a new coach that they're excited about. And so, Andrew Luck brings in his former teammate and buddy, Tavita Pritchard, to be head coach. Meanwhile, Timmy Chang is starting to build getting a little bit of a, getting it going.
Yeah.
On the islands, and that's exciting. I love a good Hawaii. That brings me back to my childhood, 2007, 2008. You could see Colt Brennan run around out there, slinging it. Big fan of that. I will say, just to go back a time slot, just as I don't know how good these games will be, but we will see the premiere of 2 former FCS teams that are moving up to the FBS starting on Saturday. North Dakota State,
Yes.
host Jacksonville State.
It's a fun one.
And that'll be interesting. Jacksonville State has been good in the past. I don't know how good they're going to be this year, but it's kind of North Dakota State's first test of like, hey, we're finally made it up to the big boy league. Let's see if we can compete. And then Sacramento State goes to MAC conference mate Eastern Michigan.
Yes.
Which is just...
We need to find out exactly how many miles away they are from each other.
So stupid. But that'll be interesting. But I think, and I'm maybe you were leading up to this, I think the best game of the day is the last game of the day.
Yes, it is. Memphis and UNLV. Those are 2 teams where it feels like basically year in, year out, they're competing in their conferences. Even if they have some slip-ups like Memphis did last year, they're still one of the teams to watch going into the season in their respective conferences in the Mountain West, in the American. It's a tough game to begin the season. It's a fun game. It's Mountain West after dark, if you will. It's the 9 p.m. slot. That one, you could get a little bit of a taste of what you can expect from those 2 teams if they can get for them a solid non-conference win and bolster that resume a little bit. They could be a couple of teams to watch potentially in that group of 6 playoff bid. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves, and I don't know how seriously those 2 teams are going to be competing, but UNLV, I think they won the Mountain West last year, or at least were in the championship game with the most wins in conference. So that's going to be a fun one and potentially an important one to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it literally will set whoever comes out of that as the winner could be considered a favorite to kind of walk away with that group of 6 champion that makes the playoff. And then obviously Boise will factor in there, and James Madison maybe will factor in. There'll be other teams that won't start their season until the week after. But it is these are, if you were listing 5, group of 5 teams that are competing, they would probably be in that 5.
And also for them, it's kind of like Mountain West is better than the American, or vice versa, where it gives you, if you get to a point where maybe those 2 teams don't represent their conferences, but if they make it to the championship game or they're in competition, it's like, well, hey, we beat UNLV. We beat Memphis earlier this year. Look at this. This helps our conference. That's actually a pretty important one in terms of that week 0 game. One more. This kind of goes along the same lines of Stanford. This is in the 6 o'clock out slot. Florida State, New Mexico State. Florida State, are you ever going to stop stinking?
Yeah.
It just feels like it has been a roller coaster ride in just the worst possible way, where it's just been a crash after when they got pantsed by Georgia in their bowl game a couple of years ago, and it's just been them trying to figure out what the heck is going on in the program. Not to say that a win over New Mexico State is going to right the ship at all, but you might get a little bit, because New Mexico State's not a pushover. That's the biggest thing. So you'll see, is Florida State going to dominate New Mexico State, or are they going to sneak by them? What is Florida State going to wake up, basically?
Yes, the Mike Norvell don't get fired in week 0 challenge.
Basically.
Difficulty.
We don't know.
Apparently could be pretty hard.
Is he speed running getting fired this season? We'll find out on week 0 potentially, when Florida State and New Mexico State battle it out at 6 p.m. So again, not the most notable slate in the world, not the worst slate in the world. There's going to be some decent games to watch.
We didn't even mention the one ranked team that's playing.
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was worth it to mention San Jose
probably
State.
Not, but
traveling to USC.
Yeah.
But you get a taste of USC, and like you mentioned, some ranked college football. USC, I believe it was last year, had the most highly touted recruiting class. So you see if maybe some of those true freshmen get onto the field and show what they can do. So there's maybe your storyline for that one if you want something to look for. So again, I'm just so thankful that college football is back. I get to sit down, enjoy some food, enjoy some college football. It's time.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk to an expert on K-State women's basketball, Tim Evers, and we're also going to hear from head coach Jeff Mittie as he spoke with the media earlier today. That's after a break. You're listening to The Game here on News Radio, KMAN.
get injured and others wear down. At Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center, your unique condition is at the center of what we do. Locally owned, OSMC is all-inclusive, featuring state-of-the-art equipment and treatment from diagnosis through surgery, physical therapy, and a return to activity to get you back to an active and pain-free life. Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center, the same doctors trusted by Kansas State University. The greatest comebacks begin here. More information at kansasortho.com.
I could tell you about the superb quality and distinctive designs offered at Tallgrass Windows and Doors, but what you really want to know is whether the morning sun will warm your bare feet in your new bedroom, or when you throw open the swinging door in your new dining room, will the outdoors burst in like a fragrant blessing? Will life take a pause as a glowing sunset turns your new living room to gold? Visit their showrooms in Wamego or Lawrence, or visit their website at tallgrasswindows.com. Tallgrass Windows. Excellence without exception.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Deshaun Watson made his first home appearance since tearing his Achilles in 2024, and apparently he expected a warmer welcome from the Browns fans. Instead, he got booed. Most athletes want to be loved by the fans. That's understandable, but Watson has to understand why Cleveland isn't exactly rolling out the red carpet. He arrived after more than 24 women accused him of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct, a situation that already made the acquisition one of the most controversial in NFL history. Then came the price tag, 3 first-round picks and a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. The return's been disastrous. In 3 seasons, he's thrown just 19 touchdown passes while dealing with injuries and struggling to play consistent football. None of that is the fans' fault. Watson doesn't have to like being booed, but playing the victim because Cleveland fans aren't embracing him ignores the reality of how this relationship got here in the first place. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-869-2045 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-869-2045. That's 800-869-2045. What do you have to lose? Call 800-869-2045. Again, 800-869-2045.
James was diagnosed at 3 months old with neuroblastoma. We went from thinking we had a healthy 3-month-old little boy, all of a sudden he had this super serious cancer. It was heartbreaking. He had chemotherapy until he was just under a year old, and at that point he was in remission.
Went that way for a year and then relapsed February of 2023, and here we are 1 year later, finishing up treatment, hopefully.
The research is extremely important. The treatments that they're developing here get shared with all the doctors to help treat children worldwide.
It's contributing something like one more piece of the puzzle to curing this horrible disease. We all want the same thing. We all want our children to live, have long, meaningful lives.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Cole Betchendorf with the Game Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State football added a late add to the 2026 recruiting class early Sunday morning when they got tight end Elias Wilson, a Denmark native, to the roster. Wilson chose to reclassify in order to not lose a season of eligibility due to being 20 years old. That would go against part of the 5-for-5 rule that was added by college football here over the summer. Wilson is a part of the PPI Recruits Academy, the same academy that K-State landed Sweden native Adrian Bekabele out of, also in the 2026 cycle. K-State soccer used 1 goal in each half and more great work from junior goalkeeper Maddie Sibbing to take down South Dakota State and move to 4-0 to begin the season in 2 consecutive years. It also marks 5 straight matches that the Wildcats have either drawn or won, tying the longest unbeaten streak in program history. Sibbing got the shutout, giving her a school record 11 clean sheets. On top of that, Sibbing also tied the record for overall wins, which is also at 11. K-State had a sizable shot advantage yet again, outshooting the Jackrabbits 22-5 after registering 30 more shots than Missouri State on Thursday. And the Royals won their 7th consecutive home game over the weekend. It's 8 straight total yesterday against the Tigers. They're back in action after a day off tonight. They play the Blue Jays tomorrow, first pitch at 6:07. As you just heard, K-State soccer starting the year off very strong yet again, back-to-back seasons at 4-0. And that was one where going into it, didn't want to doubt the Cats, but South Dakota State they were 3-0 going in. And granted, not against the toughest competition in the world. They had outscored those 3 opponents by 20 goals. It was Manitoba, based out of Canada, of course. I don't even remember. It was Moorhead. It was Moorhead in their second game. 11-0 was the final in that one. And then Washington State, again, a power, I guess, a group of 6 team at this point, but kind of a Power 4 adjacent program, and had beaten them 3-0. So I was a little bit worried. K-State was not. They blanked them. Maddie Sibbing is a beast. They also just limited the shots in general. That's kind of been the theme of the season so far. It's been the back line that's just been fantastic for K-State so far, and they win that one 2-0, 4-0. But by far their biggest test of the season is on the horizon. They get the midweek off, and then they face Nebraska on Sunday. And Nebraska, even at 1-1-2, one of those draws was number 8 Notre Dame at home, and their loss was number 18 Alabama. So it's not like they're playing some pushovers. They have played a very difficult schedule so far this season, and that will be a huge test, and probably, I'm thinking back to last year, easily the biggest test in the non-conference in the Colleen Corbin era so far. That feels right. It didn't seem like there was a Nebraska-esque team on the schedule last year, but again, that was a long time ago. I've slept between now and then as Tim is doing some Googling on the fly. I know they obviously started off 4-0. It wasn't the most difficult competition in the world. They were kind of getting themselves eased into their tougher non-conference games and the Big 12 slate last season. But Nebraska feels like that's a pretty marquee matchup.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it'll kind of be a good barometer, kind of where they're at right now, which is great. I mean, I think that you're kind of seeing stuff carry over from last year, which is great to see. Let's see here. I just finally pulled up they separate the spring schedule and the regular schedule.
It is a little bit confusing.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, they did play Nebraska. They did play Nebraska last year. They lost 0-2.
That was in Lincoln.
But it was in Lincoln, and then there really wasn't anything else. The other thing that they have right after Nebraska is they go on the road to take on a 3-1 Iowa team that has their only loss is 2-0 loss to number 11 Wake Forest.
So legit team. I think that's so fun, and it's also so beneficial, and I'm sure Coach Corbin would tell you the same thing, to get some of these Power 4 opponents that are really good, because you're never going to get done, unless you're just completely overmatched and you lose like 10-0. You're never going to get done with that match and be like, we didn't gain anything from this match. Even if you lose like they did last year in Lincoln to Nebraska, you're still taking stuff and gaining from that. So that should be an exciting one on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Speaking of K-State women's sports and some excitement, head coach Jeff Mittie spoke to the media. You think it's fair, Tim, to say kind of marking the end of the roster for the 2026-27 season?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just kind of, the school year started today. Just kind of hey, we got through the summer. We kind of got all the things done that we wanted to get done, which you can't really say that about every off season. Sometimes stuff has bled into the first semester. But yeah, I mean, with the most recent 2 additions, Joanna Tempoko and Christina Ozua, they feel pretty good about the 12 players that they have on the roster. They feel like they are able to maybe play in a lot of different ways that they weren't able to last year. K-State was really kind of stuck. If they weren't hitting threes last year, the ship was sunk.
Yes.
Like, that's just, when they were hitting threes, they could beat
really tough to beat
almost anybody. But it's a tough thing to kind of hitch your wagon towards, because there's just too much variability there. But when you bring in two people who can, kind of control down low, and especially two players I think I mentioned the last time that I was on, whenever we talked about Christina being added, two, possibly starters.
Yeah.
This, that's huge. I mean, it takes the roster from what it was, which was like, all right, well, maybe they'll be able to kind of fight their way into NCAA tournament contention, to where now I feel like, the expectations probably need to be, I don't know about, contending for a Big 12 title, just because it's tough out there, and a lot of schools in the conference spent a lot more money than K-State to get their rosters put together. But definitely this team seems like it has the pieces to be able to be in the conversation.
Could be one of the dark horses, potentially.
I think so. And it kind of depends if Osazua is able to do kind of what we've seen on film versus some high-level overseas competition, if she's able to do that in college basketball. I mean, that's huge. And then you still have, players like Taryn. You bring back Nastia Claussens, you bring back one of the best freshman rebounders in Brandon Urod, you bring back one of the best freshman point guards last year in Gina Garcia. They're looking a little exciting. I mean, I don't know about preseason top 25 exciting. I think I'll leave that to some people who are probably a little more knowledgeable on the whole, but I would say that my excitement has jumped quite a bit, and I think that Jeff Mittie agrees that fans should be pumped for what's to come.
And on that note, I mean, you just set me up beautifully. That was
did.
the alley-oop. Here is Jeff Mittie on why fans should be excited about the roster.
One of the other things that I'm excited about is differently than this climate that we're in right now in college athletics, we've got a group that's really appreciative of being here, really excited to be here. And I think some of that might be a little bit lost with the portal and the transactional attitude that a lot of we're seeing. But this group is really excited. And I think our fans should be excited about that, because I think our fans should be excited about the fact that they chose Manhattan, Kansas. They chose K-State.
That's not nothing. I think, and like he touched on, in this era of athletics, and it almost does get maybe magnified a little bit when over the majority of your roster is from Europe. So it feels like it's less of the mercenary, I guess would be the way to put it.
Right.
And it's more of the, and not to say that money and resources is not part of that, but it's that combined with the allure that is, Manhappiness and the K-State women's basketball program and the coaching staff and some of the history that they've started to build these last couple of years. That's not nothing.
Yeah, it was interesting when he talked about they had their big, welcome back fan event or whatever over the weekend. And all the, different players from all the different teams were out there. And Mittie just said that they were the players that had just never seen that before were kind of blown away, because that's just not – there's no true analog to college sports other places. It's just the passion and intensity that you get with, college basketball in Manhattan, Kansas, college basketball in other places. It's just it is different than what you would find in Italy or France or Belgium or whatever. And so, when they come and they see all of these people who are so excited that they are there. I mean, that it just kind of, for some of these players, they just got here,
right?
And to be hit with that immediately, it's like, yeah, we promised that this is what you were getting, and here it is, and it's
a great way to welcome them.
It's only just begun.
Yes, for sure. More from Mittie. This was on the additions of Christina Osazua and Joanna Tabacco that he picked up over the past couple of weeks.
I actually saw Christina a year ago in Portugal. So she was a player that, ironically, I was trying to get Christina to come here at Christmas, okay, and that's how the recruiting got started. But that did not work out, and the timing of that was really close, and she was committed to playing with her team. So, but I like the physicality, and I like the size, and I like the efficiency of both of them. They play with a pretty good efficiency level.
Which I think you could say is one thing that they were lacking last year, is the efficiency, especially around the rim.
Yes.
One more thing on Joanna. This was, I think, a fantastic story from Coach Mittie talking about, and this is a little bit longer. This is about a minute long. There were a ton of moving parts with getting Joanna to commit to the Wildcats. Here is his story on that.
I feel like we had a shutdown, and I was in Lithuania, and we were trying to get Joe to... There was like 5 minutes left to talk to her. and we essentially were trying to get the deal in place. And it was text messages flying back and forth. And then the clock struck midnight and we could no longer talk to her. And we're waking up thinking we might have a commitment the next day. And then we don't. And you're like, oh crap, does somebody else have a commitment? And I'm calling Chris in compliance going, are you seeing a financial aid agreement come across there? And so there was like a 4-day shutdown. And then all it was they wanted to talk about one more thing when we got back. So wonderful 4 days of wondering. And so on day 5, when we could talk again, we talked again. We ironed some things out, and that's when we got the commitment.
Those are some of the things that you have to deal with when, at this point, the K-State strategy has been, hey, this European market, it's a little bit more untapped right now, and so that's just some of the things that come up when you're trying to work through some of those hurdles.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a weird time for Jeff Mittie. He said several times, both today and then when I talked to him earlier this summer, it's just been, the summer has been different than any other summer that he's had, whether it's just because of the number of foreign players that were playing overseas during the summer. He had some staff exits, so he was trying to get that filled. He's trying to get the roster filled, dealing with all the, all the different things. But he really credited his staff and especially kind of the newer members of the staff that stepped up. Especially with Christina, to basically to reel her in, because I think that, I don't know what other places were involved, what other places were interested, but I mean, we've seen she is very accomplished and, should be thought of as going to be a very good player for K-State this season, and they were able to pull it together and convince her to come here, and it's credit to his staff for figuring it out and getting all settled over the summer and new roles and everything, and now you have what we think is a full roster. I don't know if you want to get into.
Not guaranteed
yes.
to get rid of him. I didn't pull this clip just in terms of time, but saying basically if something falls into our laps, we're not going to necessarily say no, but also at the same time, very happy and comfortable and confident in the roster that they have assembled so far.
Yeah, with the 5-5, like with every sport, you're hearing a lot about it with men's basketball, and you're hearing a lot about it with football. Right now, Lane Kiffin coming out and saying that there's going to be 3 players that may be starting for LSU that weren't there throughout all of fall camp, which is just absolutely
crazy.
Insane. But there very well could be some 4-year players that didn't catch on with the WNBA, haven't already signed up to play somewhere overseas that would be of a high level. I mean, I think that if a high-level scoring guard were to fall into their laps, I think that would be helpful. But I think he's absolutely right. What they've assembled here seems very balanced. Seems like you have all your boxes checked. And that's good. I mean, I think that they can go into the school year breathing a sigh of relief that they're not having to scramble and turn over rocks and, deal with foreign agents and everything to fill, a roster spot to get some semblance of height like they did last year when they got Ivona Sketchits midway through the season.
Yeah.
So
my question is,
yes.
When does the Australian Women's Basketball League, when does that start up? What's Tess Heel up to right now? Because, talk about a high-level scoring guard who has some collegiate experience, who hasn't signed into the WNBA but is signing professionally elsewhere. Maybe if she hasn't gotten too far into the woods, she might want to take a jet back over to Manhattan and provide some more assistance.
I mean, looking at, her eligibility, it would fit the bill. I would imagine she signed, midway through the season, which led to more
stupidest thing
NCAA
ever.
Crap. Yeah. It would not shock me if she was just like, I don't want to deal with the NCAA
yes, and she
again.
Should not. And that was more of a joke than
it
anything.
It is more of a joke, but it is.
Tess,
but now
time.
that I'm thinking about it, I'm
Come
just
on
like,
back.
maybe.
We already have, seven European players? We need one more from a different continent to really
That's
complete
true.
the international flavor
That's
of
true.
the team. Who says no? I don't. I certainly
Who says no?
do not.
Possibly Tess. But
which is very important to this equation. No, I hope Tess is doing well with whatever is going on over there in the land down under. Something that's going well, not in the land down under, but here 2 hours east, are the Royals. But I'm here to tell you, this is a PSA. Do not be fooled by what the Royals are doing right now. We'll talk about that after a break on The Game.
Happy birthday, America, where freedom is written, protected, and lived every day.
The 20th century called America to lead. Through global conflicts and historic challenges, Americans defended freedom at home and abroad. From the Great Depression to victory in World War II, the nation showed resilience, unity, and strength. Then, in 1969, the world watched as astronauts from NASA landed on the moon, a giant leap for mankind. Innovation, courage, determination defined the century. America 250, rising to meet history's greatest moments.
Brought to you by Chick-fil-A, Community First National Bank, Faith Furniture, Rothwell Landscape, Visit Manhattan, the Museum of Art and Light, and Manhattan Broadcasting.
With Michelle Smallman.
For you to say that the fans are disrespectful, quite frankly, is audacity on a level that I didn't even know existed. You have only played 19 games for this franchise, not only because of injury, which is outside of your control, but because you served an 11-game suspension because of actions that were in your control. The fans were put in an impossible position. Cleveland Browns fans are incredibly loyal. They love their city. They love this franchise. It's an emotional conundrum for you to have to abandon that because the team elected to push their morals to the side and bring this guy in because they thought that he would be good at football. When he wasn't good at football at all, they have every right to let him and let this organization know how they feel. And I can't believe he's delusional enough to get in front of a podium and somehow think it's their fault.
That's the ease at which you get information. You want it, you get it. Like that. Ask your phone. Group chat. Smartphone. You're always connected and informed in real time. No waiting. So if you're diabetic and still using finger sticks to read your blood sugar, what are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696 and manage your diabetes as easy as...
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
News Radio KMAN weather.
Right now in Manhattan, 88 with mostly sunny skies. That heat index all the way up at 96, thanks in part to 61% humidity. Wind out of the southeast at around 7 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 68. Wind out of the east at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Then tomorrow, 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon with the high near 89. That'll continue into Tuesday night, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms mainly before 3 a.m. High of 87 on Wednesday. Wrapping up hour one here on the game on News Radio KMAN. Cole Betchendorf with you. Tim Everson across the glass. Gavin Hyatt going to be taking over on the board here for hour number 2. Thank you for listening. We are brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. Tim, I implore you, and this goes for me and for all of our listeners out there who might align themselves with the Kansas City Royals. Do not be fooled by what is happening right now. Enjoy it. Have fun. I mean, Salvador Perez stealing a base in the big 2026, that is cinema. That is fantastic. He hit the draw dice and he revved the engines after stealing second. That was one of the best moments, not only of the Royals season, but dare I say of the entire Major League Baseball season. Enjoy that. You should. But don't be fooled by what's going on. This is an endless cycle, and I'm going to have to give credit to something that was on Twitter. It's the Royals cycle of insanity. You start the season with hope, then quickly dig a hole that you can't recover from. We saw that this year. That was perfectly right on the nose what happened in 2026. Call for everyone to be fired and get irrationally angry for months. That was from basically April to late June / to the All-Star break, essentially, is when the peak of that was. Then you go play really good ball in late August and September and think, what if? We are currently in that stage. They have won 8 games. They've won 9 of 10. They've been fun. They've been fun to watch. Bobby Witt Jr. has been amazing. Some of their guys who you weren't expecting to be huge contributors have been really good the last couple of weeks. Isaac Collins has had some big hits. John Rave has had some big hits. Pitching has been a little bit better overall. Jack Caglione, love him. Organization then, because of this stretch of great baseball, gets false up, which, by the way, Royals currently sit 7.5 games out of first place, or out of the wild card spot. They're 11 games back of first place in the AL Central. So thanks to this good stretch of baseball, the organization gets false hope, points to this hot streak as sustainable for the next season. They do nothing of note in the offseason. Organization says they showed promise at the end of the season. Rinse, repeat, and run it back next year. Now, the one place that I guess I can go with this is that, to be fair, for the Royals, and if there was ever a year to use this excuse, it's probably this one. They did get hammered by injuries. It was pretty brutal this season overall. I mean, Cole Reagans has been out for a very long time at this point. Chris Bubich no longer a Royal, but he was out after a really good start to the season. Seth Lugo has been banged up and dinged up at different points over the course of the year. Michael Garcia has been at 100% maybe a month of this season. You can look at Bobby Witt Jr. spending some time on the IL at different points of the year. You can look at Vinny Pasquantino missing about a month of the year. Kyle Isbell was out for a couple of months. So, like, again, if there is a year where you can actually use it, and I might not actually be that angry, it's probably this year because there were a ton of injuries. And who knows? You know, if you do make a couple of the right signings, flashing back to 2014 offseason where everyone that you signed basically was a gold mine and produced fantastically during that 2015 season. That could happen, but it's just not sustainable, and that's why I felt so strongly that they should have sold at the deadline and really reloaded for, not for 2027, but for 2028, for 2029, when you have Bobby, when you have Michael, when you have Jack, when you have Carter Jensen, hopefully, and whoever else from the minors. Instead, it feels like it's not going to change this next season.
I hear what you're saying, and you make a lot of cogent points that are very tough to argue with. However, the boys are playing football.
They are. And again, it has been so much fun. And this is the team that they could have been and maybe should have been. But and there was also another stat where it was if they had won a third of the games that they were leading going into the 8th inning and then lost, they would be in a wild card spot right now. And that just shows you how bad the bullpen was. There have been some insane losses, up 3-0 with 2 strikes on the next 4 batters, and then you lose on a walk-off grand slam in Minnesota. There have been some crazy losses. But I just can't fool myself. It's what I have to do is you have to take the 10,000-foot view, you enjoy it for what it is, and then you get ready to be disappointed next year.
Only 7.5 games back.
They are.
Crazier things have happened.
You know, and why not go to the playoffs and lose the first 2 in a wild card series and then go into the offseason? That would be fun.
Look, man, I'm just happy there's something.
You're right. You have the right mentality. I'm the one who's being the pessimist. I'm not enjoying what's going on right now to the full extent that I should be. But I can't help but just have that sinking thought in the pit of my stomach, in the back of my mind, that it's all for naught. And that's okay, because that's kind of the Royals' fate, and that's okay. We love them. We live with them. We die with them. Hour 2 still to come of the game. 20 questions and 20 shows continues. Also, Felix Anudike-Uzomah had a day for the Chiefs.
Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
When someone in our community is experiencing a mental health crisis, they shouldn't have to face it alone. You're invited to Inspiring Hope and Help, an evening supporting Pawnee Mental Health's mobile crisis services, now open 24/7. Join us September 10th for an evening of hope, help, and impact, featuring inspiring stories, exceptional dinner, a thrilling live auction, and special guest speaker Sally Linton. Tickets can be purchased through the Pawnee Mental Health website, and there's another way to make an impact. A $75 raffle ticket gives you a chance to win a 2026 CF Moto U-Force 600 valued at $12,000. Pawnee Mental Health's Inspiring Hope and Help, September 10th, sponsored by Manhattan Broadcasting.
Buck Roofing focuses on customer service by responding to the roofing concerns of residential and commercial properties with the utmost professional service for nearly 20 years. Call for a free no-obligation estimate at 785-230-9379.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child. To give them the love that a child needs is probably the best thing you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
KS State Bank offers convenient services to help make life a little easier.
88 and partly cloudy currently in Manhattan with those winds to the east around 10 miles an hour. Tonight, a low of around 68 and partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms likely after 1 p.m. Otherwise sunny and a high near 89. That night, those showers rise to a 40% chance, mainly before 3 a.m. Otherwise, increasing clouds and a low of around 68.
Presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
Hour 2 of the game after work. Cole Dutchendorf with you in the main studio, which it's been a little while. Probably since Gavin was on the show last, to be honest. It's been at least all summer long. Speaking of Gavin Hyatt on the board across the glass, and to my right with me in studio, Tim Everson of the Manhattan Mercury. Spending today with me, Mitch Fortner is out of the office for today. He will be back tomorrow for an hour and a half long shows both tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. That is thanks to the Royals. They are traveling abroad at the moment. They are playing the Toronto Blue Jays. That's their first series on the road this week, with first pitches at 6:07 in each of the next 3 days, which means 5:30 pregame right here on KMAN. Also on Friday, Game 3 of the Chiefs in the preseason. They will face the Seattle Seahawks in the last game of the preseason for Kansas City. Is always just a brutal watch because it is the players that even I, as an avid Chiefs follower and trying to keep every single person on the 90-man roster right now during training camp, those are dudes that I haven't even heard of, and that's saying something. And we will talk about the Chiefs a little bit later on. I mean, when it's a show hosted by myself, you know that some Chiefs are going to get brought up, but it's more of a K-State topic, at least to begin with, because Felix Anudike-Uzomah was really, really good for the Chiefs on Saturday. Very solid. He had 1 sack, 1.5 sacks, I believe, 5 QB pressures, so we'll talk on him and what his role could look like for the Chiefs in this next season. But what we need to talk on before, and of course we'll wrap up the show with Ask Us Anything. But before we head to that, and we'll touch on this, and we'll take it from a K-State standpoint, and we'll take it from a Big 12 standpoint. Our hot take. It's our 20 questions in 20 shows. We have 5 more questions remaining. Today is, what is your K-State football hot take for 2026? And again, Tim, we'll open that to the Big 12 as well. But I have a feeling we could probably go for a little while on this, so I want to hop right into it. I want to let you start. Okay. I have 3 for this, but I want you to start with the K-State football hot take for 2026.
This was tough. Just kind of looking through things, because we've kind of been told, we've been told the receivers that are in the mix. We're aware of the linebacker. We're aware. So there's not. Doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of unknowns, but I will say this: my hot take, I think he's going to be great, but because of all the buzz that he is getting, I think he's going to be. They're going to dial in on him pretty quickly. I think Wendell Gregory does not lead the team in sacks.
Okay. Now, do you have I actually kind of love that, and you'll see why for my first hot take. Who do you think could be that guy who takes that? Do you think it'll be a situation where, like last year, where it was like 4 guys who had, between 2 and 4.5 sacks? Is it going to be one of those situations where just someone has a half sack more than him, or is it someone else who's going to just have a crazy year?
That wouldn't surprise me, just because there's so much. I've been an Elijah Hill guy since we got him. It doesn't seem like that. While it seems like he's going to be in the mix, it doesn't seem like that has shown up as much as you would hope. But I'm going to stick with the guy that stuck around. I think Jordan Allen.
Sure.
I think that feels I think that Wendell's going to get double teamed, triple teamed probably quite a bit, and I think that Jordan is going to be able to be a beneficiary of that. And I think that Jordan Allen leads the team in sacks.
And when you think about it, Jordan Allen's been a guy who they've mentioned is cross-trained as a defensive tackle, so you would think he's going to be on the field a lot, whether it is as a defensive tackle or whether it's out wide as a defensive end. So I don't mind that at all. I went kind of in the same breath as that, and actually I am going to go to the guy who you thought about, Elijah Hill. And this is basically just the talent is there, and you saw that translate to big numbers. In sacks, to a certain extent, can be a high variance stat where you can be doing the right things and the numbers aren't coming. I think a great example of this, and getting my Chiefs in here a little bit early, is Chris Jones. Chris Jones is always a dominant force on the football field, but until 2022 against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, he had never had a playoff sack, and he had played a ton of games. He had played great in some of those games and just hadn't ever gotten on the right end of a sack. So you can be a fantastic player and be a fantastic talent and not get sacks. On the same end, you can be maybe not the best player in the world. Another example for the Chiefs, George Karlaftis had the 3 sacks in that one playoff game against the Texans, where maybe he's not the most talented pass rusher in the world, but thanks to some of the circumstances, it aligned for him to pick up those sacks. And part of that could be the circumstances at Kennesaw State last year for Elijah Hill. But I believe in the pedigree, same for the reason that you mentioned, Wendell Gregory is going to have a ton of attention on him this year. And that is both because he is the best pass rusher on the team, but also because kind of on the inverse of that, you don't feel super great about the rest of the pass rush. You feel optimistic, I think could be the better way to put it. I think Travis Bates can be a productive member of this defensive line. I think he can give you 3.5 sacks this season. I think Jordan Allen can be a productive member of this defensive line. But can they be consistent enough to make it necessary for them to receive some attention as well? And that's where I think Elijah Hill could come in and use some of that speed that he demonstrated while being undersized at Kennesaw State last year and clean up on when some of those guys are playing inside. Part of why I went with him specifically is because we heard Jordan Allen and Travis Bates are going to probably be playing inside sometimes this season. So I think that, again, do I think it's probably going to happen? No. I think Wendell Gregory is, all Big 12 team, first team, not lock, but he should certainly be in the conversation at the end of the season. He should be in conversation as the Big 12 defensive lineman of the year, but I think Elijah Hill could also put up some monster numbers as well. This second one, I big-brained it a little bit, and this is Avery Johnson leads the team in rushing yards.
Oh, wow.
And this is me going strictly, and again, this is a hot take. It's not necessarily something I believe with my full heart, but it is something that I believe if the cards play the way that I'm going to lay out in this circumstance, this could, in theory, happen. And I'm going to throw this caveat in there of subtracting out the sack yardage.
Okay.
Because that feels like a little bit of it's kind of cheating for me, but it's also kind of cheating to count sack yardage against his rushing yards because he's not trying to run, he's just getting sacked while trying to pass.
Right.
So I'm going to lay out this scenario. We've talked all offseason long, it's the three-headed monster of sorts in the backfield at the running back position. It's Joe Jackson, it's Rodney Fields, it's Jay Harris. We don't know exactly what the load is going to look like for each of those 3 guys this year. It seems like the closer we have gotten to the season, the more it has been maybe more of a two-headed monster of Joe Jackson and Rodney Fields. But let's say Jay Harris starts to get hot in the middle of the season, and we've heard him thrown out there in other scenarios. Special teams is the biggest one that was touched on last week, where he's been getting super involved in the kick return and punt return, and no one wants to tackle him because he's a big man and tough to bring down. Let's say they each have about 600 yards on the season. Individually, you wouldn't be super ecstatic about any of that, but you'd be pretty okay with your running back room producing 1,800 yards on the ground in a full season of work, especially if we're going just regular season. I could see a world where Avery Johnson, again, factoring out the sack yardage, could have around 600 and have a few more yards than a Joe Jackson, than a Rodney Fields. That one is probably my hottest take because do I see it happening? Probably not. Let's be real. It's probably going to be And if I was guessing their final stats, I think I'd probably put Joe and Roddy more at like 800 apiece. Would be around where I'd put them instead of 600. But that one is factoring in the emergence of Jay Harris into the offense and getting involved. So it truly is a 3-back revolving door, which allows Avery, specifically on scrambles, because, I mean, we've heard a lot about the passing attempts are probably going to be pretty high this year, to have the chance to outpace those 3 running backs.
I like that. I think the reasoning makes sense. I think that if it is truly a 3-headed monster, if one of those guys doesn't take full control of the majority of those carries, then there's no reason. Avery is a guy who could rush for 1,000 yards this season, if 1,000 yards this season, if he if he's set up well. I mean, that's what Colin did that.
Part of that as well. Forgot to mention this offensive line.
Yeah.
How effective are they in the run game? Can you expect any continuity from game to game and the consistency that you need to set up a good rushing attack? Again, if it's 1.5, 2 yards per carry for those two in certain games, again, that could leave the door open for Avery when he gets room in the passing game to move. Sorry, continue.
No, that was basically it. I think that it is certainly within the realm of possibility that can end up happening.
Again,
sure.
Not staking my career on it, not even fully believing it with my whole heart, but I think I could see a universe where the circumstances make it so that is at least a possibility. I have one more, and that is, I don't even know how hot of a take this is. I kind of just believe it. Jerron Tibbs receives all Big 12 honors in some form. And I think this season, he's your de facto wide receiver number 1. Because he returns. I think that's the biggest thing. And yes, it's a different offense, so continuity probably isn't as important from 25 to 26 in that sense, because it's a different offense and you're learning new things the same way that Josh Manning is and that Brandon White is and that Isaiah Williams is. I guess he kind of is the exception because he was in a similar offense with Texas A&M. But you get kind of the point I'm making. He's comfortable at K-State. He has the rapport with Avery Johnson. He basically was the wide receiver 1 because of Jason Brown's injuries at the end of the year last season. And you saw flashes, I think you would say, and you saw glimpses that he can be a dude at points when K-State needs him to be. I think he could be an 800 yards, 6 touchdowns kind of guy this year, which would put him pretty firmly on like the second team and would be close to scratching that all Big 12 first team. I think he's really, really good. We saw his contested catch ability is out of this world. We saw his intermediate game was out of this world. I think you're going to see him be a main feature. And also part of that is you do have guys like Isaiah Williams and Josh Manning and Brandon White and a solid running back group and Garrett Oakley and Lincoln Cure around him. That's not going to allow him to be bracketed over the top by a safety 24/7. He's going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities this year, you would think, to boot.
Yeah, I think the biggest, part of that coming true is what you already said. He's the only receiver that will be getting, major snaps that has a full season of chemistry built with Avery Johnson. It's just having that is, it's so huge. I think that it will probably take a while to kind of get some of those other guys, get Brandon White, Isaiah Williams, Josh Manning kind of on that track. But day one, that's established, and they know each other and they know what to expect. Now, them and the tight ends are going to be the most, experienced with Avery that are going to be on the roster. So I like that a lot.
And you saw it last year, too, the trust that Avery has with Jerron, where he, throwing up some of those jump balls and throwing some of those contested catches, type passes. The one that comes to mind is the one that should have been intercepted against North Dakota, where it went through the hands of a North Dakota player into the hands of Jerron Tibbs waiting in the end zone. So I think that all bodes well for Jerron Tibbs. I think he receives all Big 12 honors. So those are my 3 hot takes. Those are Tim's. What I want to do as well, while we're talking about it, who doesn't love hot takes? I mean, they're so fun to get some hot takes off the chest. I want to head to the Big 12 as well. And I think there are plenty of places you could go with this in terms of whether it's a bad team that you think is going to be good, or vice versa, or potentially a coach being fired, which is where I'm going to go with my first one. And that is that finally Baylor pulls the plug and Dave Aranda is out this season. It's not the easiest schedule in the world for the Bears. There's a world where they are at 6 wins at the end of the season. I don't think that would be cutting it for Dave Aranda. I think it's Joe Klanderman's season in Waco following the 2026 regular season. Now, I don't know if that'll actually happen, but we could seeing Baylor head coach Joe Klanderman, because I think my hot take is Dave Aranda gets canned at some point during the 2026 season.
Yeah, I don't even know how hot of a take that is. I think that
what's going to happen.
I think that if things were in a different area, maybe that could have happened last season. I like that a lot. I feel bad for Joe Klanderman.
He's thrown to the fire a little bit this year.
He was, and it's tough because it's just like, hey, we sucked at this, and it's on you to fix it. Good luck. And I think he has the capability of getting them to a baseline, at least not sucking again. But I think the problem is, like you said, their schedule is tough.
And they lost a ton offensively from last year.
There's no guarantee that DJ Lagway is going to turn into a player that is going to be able to kind of pull you up from that. It is going to be tough. I agree. I think that is going to happen. Mine's a little crazier.
Okay, talk to me.
In the Big 12 championship game, it will not feature either Texas Tech or Utah.
Okay.
Texas Tech or BYU.
Okay, I was going to say Utah I could see not being in there. Okay, so neither Tech nor BYU. So walk me through what will be the downfall of Texas Tech in your eyes in this scenario.
Quarterback. I think that it's the fact that they were immediately in talks for the what is his name?
I don't remember his name. The Florida State quarterback last year.
Yes, Tommy Castellanos.
Yes, that is correct.
Does not inspire confidence, I think.
Seems like they might be a little hesitant on Mr. Hammond, potentially.
I just don't, I don't think much there offensively. I think their defense is going to be as good as it was. But I think offensively, there's just nothing there that super excites me. And I just feel like they're going to get, I think it may be a crowded race at the top. And there may be four teams with 1 or 2 losses in the conference, and I think they get let down. The BYU one, I just think that they, it felt like they kind of were getting by the skin of their teeth a little bit last year. I don't know if they have all of the weapons that, we know that they don't have Parker Kingston because he got kicked off the team.
Right.
Bear Backmeyer is back, and he should be better, but I would argue that he was much better than he had a right to be last year, and maybe that regresses a little bit. I'm just not sold. I'm just not I'm not bought in, and I think that there are a handful of other candidates that could squirrel their way in there. Arizona State, Utah, Houston,
Arizona,
K-State,
knock on wood,
depending on how things shake out on the offensive line. So that's my hot take.
I would love it.
It would be crazy, and it probably honestly isn't great for the Big 12 if what has been dubbed as your new premier brand
wouldn't be great,
but it.
Be fun though.
It would be very fun.
It'd also be chaotic, and I think that's the best when college football gets a little bit chaotic. Maybe this is a bit of a hot take as well. I honestly would be less shocked to see Tech out of the Big 12 championship than BYU in a way, because everything that has come from the BYU camp this offseason has been this is the best team that they've had under Sitake, and that it's been the best addition of talent, whether it's in the portal or through the recruiting class, that it's been the cohesion on the offensive and defensive lines, which, as we know, some of the most important, if not the most important position groups in football. I'd almost be more shocked if they weren't in Arlington than Texas Tech.
And I have no response to that.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
I think that they're kind of far and away the favorites, and I think that there's just a lot of other fish that are swimming that could jump up and make another one. I have one more Big 12 hot take because I just thought of it. There will be 1, 2, 3, 4 Big 12 coaches fired.
4 fired. Do you have the?
I have a list.
Okay.
I have a list. So you mentioned Aranda.
Okay.
Scott Satterfield.
Okay.
We're going to go down to UCF.
Sure.
Scott Frost.
The Scots are both going to be out.
And then Lance Leipold.
Okay. You think this is the year?
I think that if they tank it, if it's terrible, with their new, not that nice, but they think it's nice stadium, they pull the plug and they try to
reset a little bit
and kind of get a jump start.
I could see it.
I have one. I don't know if this is a hot take too,
Talk to me,
but
Kevin.
I don't think Iowa State's going to win a conference game this year.
I love that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I love that. And I think Iowa State is going to be trash.
Oh, I think they're going to win 2 games because they're going to lose to Iowa.
Yeah.
And then all their conference games. So
Washington State was not that great last year. And that's a large component of that roster is former Washington State players and basically the entire Washington State staff. Yep. So I think they are going to be legitimately terrible this season. Not to say that they couldn't rebuild in the years prior, and it's not a one-year job for old Jimmy, but I think it's not going to be pretty at times this year for Iowa State. I've got one more new coach hot take, and this isn't about him specifically. It's not about Eric Morris, but it is about Oklahoma State. They've been kind of the darlings, it feels like, of preseason. They've been getting votes in both the coaches and AP preseason top 25 poll. Feels like everyone's like, oh, dark horse to potentially be in Arlington. I think they go under 500 in conference play. And this is part of this is their schedule is pretty rough. They've got games at Houston, at K-State, at Arizona State. They also have a home game against Tech. So then at that point, if you're saying those 4 losses, not guaranteed, but if you count those 4 losses in my imaginary world, unless they don't slip up on any of their other games, that includes at West Virginia. Is West Virginia that good? No. But on the road in Morgantown, not always the easiest place to play in the world. They have games against a team like UCF, which I don't think they're going to be good, but they could be maybe a little bit scary, a little bit dangerous. Yeah. Home against Colorado, the talent's probably going to be better this year. So they would have to not slip up in any of those 5 rest of their games in order to make it above 500 in conference play. And that's more of me believing that, like, hey, North Texas didn't even play for the AC championship last year. They didn't win it. So, like, why do we think all of a sudden they're going to be, like, legitimately competing in the Big 12? That defense is going to be terrible, I think.
No, I agree. I agree. It is real. It feels like that's a real boom or bust situation. It's either they're going to be contending.
It's like 9 wins or like 5.
Yeah. That'd be funny.
I would
5
be okay
wins
with
would
it.
be funny.
I would be very okay with it, especially if one of those losses was against Tulsa or something like that again this year. We owe you a break when we come back. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, he had quite the day for the Kansas City Chiefs. That was on Saturday. That's after a break here on The Game.
At ESB Financial, we think it makes sense to pay you. That's right, get paid 5.04% annual percentage yield on balances up to $20,000 with our free Kasasa Cash checking account. We'll even refund your ATM fees nationwide, and the best part is there's no monthly service charges or minimum balances to keep. All you have to do to earn your rewards are a few simple things each month. The best part? These things make banking easier. Visit esbfinancial.com to learn more. Special terms may apply. ESB Financial, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I'm Brad Jones, owner of Home of the Flint Hills. Working with seniors day in and day out has made me long for a time when life was a little slower. when we took the time to check on our neighbors, to call our family, and simply be there for one another. If that speaks to you, let's be the change we want to see in this world. Each one of us can bring light into a dark world. 1 John 1:7 says, if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. We are Home of the Flint Hills, Christ-driven, family-owned, uniquely yours.
Westwood One presents Today in Women's Sports. Drunk driving changes your world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. The Portland Thorns honored U.S. soccer legend Tobin Heath on Saturday before their match against the Denver Summit. Heath played for the club from 2013 to 2020 and led them to 2 league championships. Heath announced her retirement last year, and the Thorns' all-time regular season assist leader signed a 1-day contract to go out as a member of the franchise.
Today fulfills a dream of being able to finish as a Thorn, the place that really allowed me to become, not as a player, but as a person. So thank you for holding me and supporting me on my journey of becoming. There's no place like you guys. Thank you.
Portland won the match on Saturday 1-0 thanks to a goal from star Sophia Wilson. They will visit first place Gotham FC on Friday. With Today in Women's Sports, I'm Maggie Gray on Westwood One.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
I'm Cole Betchendorf with the Game Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State football added a late add to the 2026 recruiting class early Sunday morning when they got tight end Elias Wilson, a Denmark native, to the roster. Wilson chose to reclassify in order to not lose a season of eligibility due to being 20 years old. That would go against part of the 5-for-5 rule that was added by college football here over the summer. Wilson is a part of the PPI Recruits Academy, the same academy that K-State landed Sweden native Adrian Bekabele out of, also in the 2026 cycle. K-State soccer used 1 goal in each half and more great work from junior goalkeeper Maddie Sibbing to take down South Dakota State and move to 4-0 to begin the season in 2 consecutive years. It also marks 5 straight matches that the Wildcats have either drawn or won, tying the longest unbeaten streak in program history. Sibbing got the shutout, giving her a school record 11 clean sheets. On top of that, Sibbing also tied the record for overall wins, which is also at 11. K-State had a sizable shot advantage yet again, outshooting the Jackrabbits 22-5 after registering 30 more shots than Missouri State on Thursday. And the Royals won their 7th consecutive home game over the weekend. It's 8 straight total yesterday against the Tigers. They're back in action after a day off tonight. They play the Blue Jays tomorrow, first pitch at 6:07. Continuing the game here on News Radio KMAN. Cole Betchendorf with you. Gavin Hyatt on the board, breaking some of that rust off right now as we speak. And Tim Everson of the Manhattan Mercury to my right. And Tim, you're kind of knocking off some of the rust too, because next week, Wildcat Insider back for year whatever it is, because it's been going for I don't know, that predates me at this point.
I have no idea. But
White Thompson back on the show. You're back on the show. A lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll be doing that and then recording the biggest pregame show in the Big 12 next week.
31st season for Power Cat Game Day, 2 hours before pregame begins. So against Nichols, that'll start at 2 o'clock. That'll be right here on News Radio KMAN, 4 hours before every game for the entirety of the season. Power Cat Game Day, ton of fun. Wildcat Insider, ton of fun. And most importantly, it means that it's time.
It's time.
It's time for football season to be here in all of its glory. That's all you can ask for. And I'm looking forward to it being back and for me to just be a spectator again.
Yeah. I
enjoy it. I enjoy listening to you and Mitch and Wyatt talk ball for a couple of hours.
That Wildcat Insider is a lot of fun. Love getting to talk to Wyatt. It's a little more fun after game, when there's stuff to talk to after game. It'll be kind of more of a preview, I believe, on Monday, kind of what to look for, and then me, Zach Nemechek, Mason Vove, and Mitch will be we'll be back at it for our
so elite
third straight year of that lineup, which is crazy.
Look at that continuity.
Look at that.
It's you're getting reps in with Mitch, and you have some of that. Again, we go back to the word earlier, rapport. You got that connection. He's setting you up. We're getting the timing is down right. It's one homogenous.
I like thinking of myself
right
as the Jerron Tibbs of
Are you going to be an all Big 12 first teamer this year is the question.
I think actually I'm gonna sprain my ACL out in the first week, and I'm gonna be off for.
So then it'll be on Zach and Mason's hands. Yeah. It'll be in their hands to try to carry the baton.
Very capable hands.
That'll be again next Saturday, Power Cat Game Day at 2 o'clock right here on KMAN, and Wildcat Insider next Monday from normal time, 4 to 6 right here on KMAN. All right, last thing we need to get into before we hit Ask Us Anything and wrap up the show for today is Felix Anudike-Uzomah had a really, really good game for the Chiefs on Saturday. He played his tail off. He had a sack. He had 5 pressures as well. 5 pressures and just 16 rushes, which is notable. It wasn't like he was playing the entire game and they were letting him get reps in against the third starting tackle or whatever against the Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. He showed some juice, and that's notable for a couple of reasons. But first of all, just for him and for his growth and to try to salvage, basically, at this point, his NFL career, because first couple of years did not go how both he and Chiefs staff and Chiefs fans wanted it to. And then last year, obviously, out of his hands, had the hamstring injury all year long. So to see him making that sort of mark was amazing.
Yeah, I think that it's notable to remember that he did, enter the draft early. So he was younger, and he was even fairly young in terms of just being a junior. Then, he was a young junior. And so it took some time. Look, we've had to listen to a lot of KU fans and Missouri fans getting off their jokes about a wasted first-round pick. Look at and I am sick of it. I was already pissed off at the KC media people who were like, "Oh yeah, look what he can do when no one blocks him." He was blocked.
He was, and he made him look silly.
He shedded the block.
Yes.
It's just there's no respect, and Felix is coming for the respect this season. I'm excited to see it.
Here was that sack called by Mitch Holtis.
Browning started for the Bengals against the Chiefs back on New Year's Eve of 2023, playing for and now a sack! The first sack of the preseason comes from Anudike-Uzomah, who came around the left side and buries Jake Browning for a loss back at the 25-yard line. A loss of 8.
again, preseason, yes, maybe the best he's looked in a Chiefs jersey, and it's been. Again, part of that is no fault of his own when he came into the Chiefs with that hand injury in his rookie season. Year 2 showed some flashes to his credit. I mean, the one that comes to mind immediately is like the 6-yard TFL in the Super Bowl on Christian McCaffrey. But in terms of consistently really good, he did what he was supposed to do. He made some of those Buccaneers players look silly, and it's important for both him and his career, but also for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
If he could be a legitimate D-end 3. That's really all they need from him. And there is a role for him on this team. And it's part of it is it's been helped by the fact that the defensive end room has been a little bit banged up this year, and it's been Ashton Gelati who just ruptured his plantar fascia, which sounds just terrible, but actually going to be back potentially for week 1, which is just insane.
Yeah.
But with him being out, and he's had some other injuries, I think it was a hamstring for him as well earlier this offseason, Felix has gotten a ton of reps in the first-team defense. He has gotten a ton of work. And if he can be a legitimate defensive end 2, defensive end 3, doesn't need to be like an 8-sack, 10-sack a game or a year guy. If he can get 5 sacks, if he can provide the ability to win some one-on-ones on that edge, that's something that the Chiefs did not have outside of George Karlaftis last year. And even George Karlaftis didn't really have that at points because of some of the injuries he was working through.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that it is, you'd been hearing about his improvement all through camp leading up to what we saw versus the Bucs. I'm thrilled. I love Felix. I loved covering him when he was at K-State. His run in the Big 12 championship season, he should have the record for sacks in a game. That was rudely taken from him by the NCAA. We will never forget. God forbid he forced a fumble. He did more than you asked for him. It's still a sack. Anyway, I want big things to happen for him because he deserves it. He's a great player, great representative for K-State, and I think this is going to be the year where we're going to see some big movement, which is perfect for him because
contract year. Yeah, it would be perfect timing for FAU to take that next step and to be a legitimate rotational NFL defensive end, which I think he still can become. The talent is there. He seems to have figured out his biggest issue, which was the timing the snap. That was really rough in his first couple of seasons where he was sometimes, almost no exaggeration, a quarter, a half of a second behind the rest of the defensive linemen. He's fixed that. That is much better at this point. So if he can be part of that rotation, and I think he needs to be, honestly, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That would be huge for him, and I'm so excited to watch that continued, hopefully, growth this year. So keeping it on the defensive end and going back to the Saturday game against the Buccaneers, our Mason Thomas, he's shown some flashes, man, and that's a player who is different than anything that the Chiefs have put on that field at the defensive end spot since D Ford.
Yeah,
I mean, is that probably the first predominantly speed rush kind of guy? And D Ford was there the first year and was not there for Steve Spagnuolo. I believe he got traded between those off seasons for 2018 and 19, if memory serves.
That sounds right.
They haven't seen that really under Steve Spagnuolo, and that's just not the brand of defensive end that he likes to use. He likes to use the guys who are big and lanky and can maintain their rush lanes and can kind of crush the pocket. That's not what our Mason Thomas does. He is a speed guy. He's going to beat you with bend. He's got that athleticism around the end, and he continues to be really good and show some flashes. And again, same thing with FAU. If he can be that third down pass rusher situational kind of guy, that's all you need, man. That can be, and then when you look at the interior that is dramatically improved from last year, all of a sudden you're cooking with fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It feels like they have options, even with some injuries, which is good because it was, if you weren't getting guys like Felix or what's his name?
George Karlaftis.
No, not Karlaftis. The guy you were just talking about. I've completely blanked on his name. Yes, thank you, Mason Thomas. I was like, oh no. They would have been in some trouble, but they seem like they're finally kind of have a little bit of an identity up front. I don't know. I'm excited to see what that turns into. I also liked a little bit from what we saw from Mansour Delane a little bit.
And he didn't get a single pass thrown his way the entire night, but whenever he was lined up in man coverage, again, no passes thrown his way, but I liked what I was seeing. And then the one notable play was when he fired on the wide receiver screen and was the most stereotypical Spags corner of all time, just blowing it up. But he didn't actually make the play, but he caused the play to be made around him. It's early, and basically nothing happened, but he looked good.
Yeah, I think that people are sleeping. People are sleeping on the Chiefs, I think.
I think the defense, maybe not in the beginning of the year. It doesn't need to be good in the beginning of the year because that's when they're playing the Falcons and the Dolphins and the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think this defense is only going to get better the further they get into the season. When guys like Delane have seen NFL games, when guys like Peter Woods and R. Mason Thomas and going to the linebacking core, Jeffrey Bassa, have seen real, legitimate NFL experience, I think it could progress like a fine wine over the course of the season. Maybe start off a little rough, maybe start off with some missed assignments here and there, and get really dangerous near the end of the season. To the offensive side of the ball really quickly, Jalen Royals had by far his best game as a Chief. That was positive to see, especially because I don't feel confident at all in this wide receiver room in just terms of them, A, staying healthy, and B, staying consistent. So if you can have a wide receiver 4/5 in Jalen Royals who can provide some of that consistency, hey, more power to you.
Yeah, it's huge, and you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know, you can't trust Rishi just in general. Correct. Until he proves himself, you're just kind of stuck in a bad place. Obviously, I think things are going to look a little different with Kenneth Walker. I think that hopefully you lean on that a little bit more than maybe you've leaned on a running back in the past, because you have one of the best running backs in the NFL, and that hasn't been the case.
Jamal Charles.
Yes. Yeah, that's about it. I was like,
Kareem Hunt, I guess, but Jamal
1 year
Charles.
Kareem Hunt, but yeah, you need consistency more than anything else, because once Mahomes is fully healthy and able to get out there, he's going to be able to make the throws that he needs to make. You just need to be able to get open and you need to be able to catch the ball. And I feel like he can get them in the right position as long as they're able to do it with consistency.
Oh, that's the thing. They haven't really had that.
And they haven't had that. And it's been tough. But I'm encouraged. We'll see what happens, but I am optimistic.
One scary thing before we go to a break, and this will be real quick. Tackles were scary, and not in a good way. Khalil Benson looked very much like an undrafted free agent who made a roster by getting invited to minicamp.
Yeah.
He got exposed a couple of times by a guy that I would have loved to see on the Chiefs roster in Reuben Bain. And then Jalen Moore wasn't as bad as Khalil Benson, because Khalil Benson was like bad. But Jalen Moore wasn't great either. So you really got to hope that Josh Simmons' back holds up, that his health is all right, and that he doesn't disappear for 4 weeks in the middle of the season like last year.
Yeah, it seems like from what I've seen that he is trending towards being okay by week 1. But yeah, you just don't want to get 3 or 4 weeks into the season and then have something happen, and then you're kind of once again stuck in a bad place on the offensive line and having to move people around again and trying to find some kind of fit to make the offense run.
Let's take a break. Wrap up the show after this. Ask us anything on the game.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air will provide honest and quality service when you need it most. From a leaky faucet to replacing your water heater. Trust the experts at D&I Plumbing, Heating, and Air, your York and other makes and models local dealer. Call 537-7138 today.
Turn your memories into a masterpiece at Candlewood Frame Shop. Whether it's framing your favorite pictures floating around in the digital cloud or creating a shadow box with cherished things or memorable events. Candlewood Frame Shop. Let them turn your story stories into a masterpiece.
For a once-in-a-lifetime experience, engagement ring shopping simply can't be duplicated on a computer screen. At Fifely Jewelers, you'll be pleasantly surprised by our pricing compared to buying online, and we offer financing. Plus, you'll have peace of mind by shopping locally with Fifely Jewelers.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
I hope it never happens, but when you get to a certain status, you get to a certain level, people are going to tear you down. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case with Fernando Mendoza, the first pick in the NFL draft early this year by the Las Vegas Raiders, because he is as genuine, as transparent, and as likable as you want anybody to be. Not just represent your organization, but represent an entire league, which if he does what he believes he can do, what the Rays he can do, he's going to be one of those faces of the National Football League for a franchise that could thoroughly use it when it comes to Las Vegas Raiders. But I'm already starting to hear, come on, is he too good to be true? It's okay that if somebody is who they are, to leave them alone, to let them be who they are. And I'm hoping that won't be the case because there's going to be a success point for Fernando Mendoza. I firmly believe he's going to turn the Las Vegas Raiders around. But I'm hoping that when he does, I don't hear he's too good to be true. He and the league and everybody else does not deserve that. In 60 seconds, the WNBA fighting back against divisiveness.
Reese Davis here. When the pressure's on, you find out who's ready and who's not. Same goes for the job site. The work doesn't slow down when conditions get tough, and you need tools that can finish strong.
That's why DeWalt tests its tools under real-world conditions that push even the best to their limit. Only then does a tool earn the DeWalt badge. They're built to perform again and again like they did on the first use. DeWalt, guaranteed tough. Available at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert said, and I quote, "We're being the center of political football for people who've never watched the WNBA, never written about the WNBA, or reported on the WNBA," end quote. She does not like the fact that her league, no matter what the situation is, whether it's Caitlin Clark over here or other players over there, or issues outside of the scope or inside the scope of the WNBA, that people are using that to further an agenda against her league. It's one of the few times you can say that Kathy Engelbert has finally had enough, which a lot of WNBA players have been waiting for more than a minute. She does not like the divisiveness of people trying to sow that involving her league and using her league as political football. Will players follow her lead and make sure they have her back or leave her hanging out to dry? That may be the biggest question about Kathy Engelbert said about people trying to sow divisiveness with the WNBA. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
News Radio, KMAN, weather.
88 and partly cloudy with those winds right now to the east around 10 miles an hour, currently in Manhattan. Tonight, a low of around 68 and partly cloudy skies with those winds still to the east around 5 to 10. Tomorrow, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms likely after 1 p.m., otherwise a high near 89 and sunny skies. A low of around 68 and a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms on Tuesday night. For you guys today,
oh man,
since it is, shout out Cole for this to help me out, but it's National Waffle Day. Did not know that, but how do you eat your waffles?
I personally am a big proprietor of just peanut butter and syrup. I'm not a butter guy. I'm a peanut butter guy. That's probably more the case for pancakes, but even for waffles, I'll go creamy peanut butter and syrup on top.
So I agree 100%. That is how I would do it. I had a very specific regimen in high school. I was a waffle guy in high school.
Sure.
Toast my waffle, peanut butter on, syrup on, then I hit the microwave.
Okay.
and let that syrup kind of sink in. Let it cook a little bit in the syrup. Take it out.
That's a vet move.
It works for me.
I haven't even thought about microwaving it post game.
That's just
genius.
too much. I kind of just dig in right away, you know.
What's your topping of choice?
So mine is basically like you, Cole, where it's just butter and then syrup, and then
butter and syrup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a big. I don't know if you guys had Eggo waffles a lot.
Oh
yes. Yeah. So, but I would usually just do butter and syrup for that too. But those were
Eggos
kind
were
of the mainstays.
special back in the day.
Oh,
man.
I know.
And not to say that they're not special now. I just haven't had them in a very long time. Special breakfast.
Oh yeah, I would every morning before school. I would have 2 to 3 of them and call it good.
Glass of milk to wash it all down. Come on, man. That's some premium living right there.
Yeah.
I will say underrated. You do honey instead of syrup.
Honey. I've never done that, but I do love honey. So I would be willing to try it. Also, chicken and waffles is a fantastic combination.
I was going to say, have you guys put strawberries on them before?
I have had some fruits on there. Blueberry, strawberry, banana waffles are very yummy as well.
Powdered sugar, I used to do that as well.
Not a big powdered sugar guy because I just choke to death on powdered sugar. Like I inhale it and then I almost die every time I eat powdered sugar on waffles. So I'm not a big powdered sugar guy on the waffles.
Okay.
The cinnamon toast Eggo waffles. So they're the ones that they have like 4 little waffles in each one. They're like square.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
I don't know what that is, but it
Legit.
sounds fantastic.
Legit.
Cinnamon toast waffles is like, that just sounds really, really good. And
It's
there's
fantastic.
no reason it wouldn't work perfectly.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, one more piece of news, forgot to mention this, and shame on me. Deuce Vaughn signed to the Houston Texans yesterday, so he continues his NFL career for now. We hope that he sticks and is a running back on that roster all year long and gets the opportunity that he deserved with the Cowboys.
Amen. Deuce Vaughn forever.
Yes, my young goat. Hour and a half tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Full 2 hours on Friday. The Royals are not playing tonight, so it's just ESPN Radio for the next couple of hours. For Gavin, for Tim to my right, I'm Cole Dutchendorf. Mitch Fortner back tomorrow. We'll see you then.
At Stormont Vale Health, our patients are our neighbors and our communities are home.
We invest in your health and our community by bringing high-quality healthcare closer to home. From our Wamego Clinic to our new campus in Manhattan and the Flint Hills Hospital in Junction City. Our partnerships with organizations like the Mayo Clinic and the Children's Miracle Network bring top-notch expertise to our region. We take pride in local collaboration to stay connected to our communities. Visit StormontVale.org.
Stormont Vale Health, high-quality care closer to home.
Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer.